Okay, I got you.
The 10th of Nisan, the 8th of April. So I'm sorry, it's getting harder to wake up on time. I woke up at 6:30 today.
Why?
Because all the work piles up, and towards the end of the day, still wanted to do some learning, something, and then got to sleep at 2 and hardly woke up. Anyway. So one more thing I wanted to say about, we haven't fully explained it because it's sort of lacking. Why was Paro so powerful? it still troubles, like what's going on here? Why is it that the overflow from the barrel, as it were, this parable we've been using, why does it give him so much strength to control the entire world, to rule Bikipa, as we said, from one end of the world to the other, and he's controlling the entire Jewish people? What is this? So there's a concept that's called Tosefet Meruba La'ikar. We've met it before. We saw it actually when we're learning davening. Tosefet Meruba La'ikar means that the overflow is more potent than what's in the barrel. Why is that? Because imagine that you have a closed barrel, not an open one. And the overflow is caused by the barrel cracking because you put too much into it. So it turns out that what cracked the barrel, it's like what we say, the straw that broke the camel's back. So there's two things hiding behind that statement. One side of it is that there's nothing special about the last straw because it's just like all the other straws, and what really broke the camel's back is all the other straws that were there before. So this one, it didn't really make that much of a difference, but it did because you see that the camel was carrying it. So there's an understanding that the last straw, the thing that cracks the barrel, is more potent than everything that else was in there. Say it another way.
Like a patish, kind of.
Yeah. So say it another way, and then it becomes more clear. The mashal used in the Zohar is that the person is, think about a person who's full with thought, not with anger, not with emotion, just with so much that he wants to say. And he's carrying it and thinking about it, and then finally he says one sentence because he can't hold back anymore. That one sentence is like the overflow from the barrel. It's like there was too much in it, and now it cracked, and he had to say something. And that something that he says, if you capture it correctly, is more potent than everything that he's thinking about.
Compensation.
Right, it's like a tamtzit. And he kept using that, the mitsui. I missed that. I kept thinking he was talking about mitsui is that you take the bird sacrifice and the blood, the matzot al kira mizbeach. So it's just called pouring it. It's like that's mitsui. It's something that you pour, but really it's tamtzit. And tamtzit means the how would you say tamtzit?
Attraction.
The what?
Condensation.
The concentrated.
Yes.
It's like, but it's not constant because he's not capturing everything. But it's like what's overflowing, but it's more potent than everything that he's holding inside because this actually came out. So we say, and let's think about it in terms of the king's seuda, the king's feast. We said that he's eating from the crumbs. We said the crumbs, the overflow, they represent the king's true wealth. Because if he was just a regular person, there wouldn't be any overflow. There wouldn't be anything special coming out. But the whole idea that there's crumbs and there's leftovers and there's the whole idea of shiraim, that's the point. The shiraim is like the tosefet meruba la'ikar. It's the addition that's more than what's there originally. So what Paro is taking from is more potent than everything else. That's why he's so powerful. That's the way to think about this. There's a lot more to say about this. This is actually the one of the most important parts of the first mimer in the Zohar, Bereisho Minuta de Malka. But
maybe it's like a tipping point, isn't it?
It's like a tipping point. Right.
Tipping point is very good.
Tipping point is very, very good.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay. והעניין כי בחיי האבות שהן הן המרכבה שהוא בביטול תמיד ליוצרם. So what were the patriarchs? The patriarchs were in constant nullification to Hashem. They were not commanded by Hashem.
Sorry,
right? The patriarchs.
The patriarchs.
Opposed to us, we are commanded by Hashem, but they weren't commanded. You didn't give them anything. It was one mitzvah, maybe two mitzvahs. But they live their life attached to Hashem. So how do you live your life attached to Hashem if you have no mitzvahs? How do you do that? So they were in constant bittul. Bittul is nullification. And that's a completely different mindset than being in a state of commanded. In fact, it says that in the future, we'll go back to that mindset. Because it says that Atid Lavo mitzvot betelot. So what do you mean mitzvot betelot? So some people think it means that, we've talked about this 100 times, but I'll just say it again because it's an important thing. Mitzvot betelot, that the commandments will be nullified, doesn't mean that we won't put on tefillin, doesn't mean that we won't keep Shabbos. We'll do everything will be the same, but it will be, right, because it'll be natural. Not because Hashem commanded me, because this is how a person lives. It's just natural. This is the way it is, because we've
breathing. Yes, yes.
In some way, nobody has to command me to breathe.
Yes.
But in a certain sense, every time that I breathe, I'm nullifying myself. I'm doing an act that I have no other possibility.
So
I have to do it.
We're getting there,
Right.
Yeah.
So in the future, it says that we'll come back to this state of the patriarchs, where everything is done because of nullification. Because of that, it's also natural. Okay, good. That's a very interesting thing about. Maybe we'll come to it at some point about the milah, the second mitzvah. Is it natural or not? And what is this? Because supposedly it's the thing that's most against nature. So how can it be?
The family does it.
Everybody does it. So what's going on? Okay, so we'll talk. It's really the. I don't want to talk about it now. But it's a question of something else. There are other reasons why people do things apart from utility, and there are other reasons to do things. And the milah, the circumcision, is from those other things. It's representative of something, sort of like if you want. I don't want to say the whole thing, so I'll just say, not because I don't want to talk about it now, because it's not shayach, but also because my language is not there right now. But the little prince who says, I have a flour and I have a loaf of bread. Okay, so the loaf of bread is so I can live, and the flour is so that I have meaning in my life. I have something to live for. So there are other reasons why people do certain things. Not everything is utility. Anyway, and they were very much wanted. Hashem had great nachas from them. And the shvatim, the tribes, were the same thing, because a shevet means ki shevet u lashon hamshacha shemumshachim mishelemala mehem hem avot, because they are considered to be an extension. A shevet literally means a branch in Hebrew. Again, shevet musar is a branch that you strike someone with to teach him musar. על כן היה המשכת השפע עליהם בעיתו יתברך בחפץ ורצון פנימי, והוא פנימיות דאריך, כנ"ל בעניין יאיר השם פניו אליך. So they were receiving from Hashem's will and desire constantly. אבל לאחר שנאמר במצרים, וימות יוסף וכל אחיו וכל הדור ובני ישראל היו בקטנות, והיה השפעת השפע עליהם גם כן בבחינת אחוריים לבד. So, but after that generation passed away, and Yosef, Levi was the last one to die, but it says that after Yosef died, really this whole way of serving God was gone, of serving out of nullification. There was no more. So there was no more will. There was no chefetz, and there was no desire. So what were they? They were in a state of small-mindedness. What does that mean? That they only have, like we said, the nehi. They only have the habits. So they're now doing things, not because they're in a state of a nullification before God, but just because they're carrying on what their parents taught them. So they were also receiving from the backside. Nehi receives from the backside. There's no will and there's no desire there, because it's just that Hashem wants to continue supporting the world, sustaining the world. So this explains how they could be subservient to Paro, because Paro was receiving, he's the king, he's receiving from the overflow. They're just receiving from the inside, as it were from the inside, but it's without will and desire. It's not building anything in them. It's not developing them anymore. Okay, so we have to end here.